Welcome to the skating session. My name is Tony Wheeler,
And I'm Thomas Vu.
and we're here to recap the 2026 European Championships. We are now flying through the competitions. It's like four continents, starts in like 2 days already. We've barely caught up on sleep since nationals, and now we have this entire Europeans
Or
to go
haven't
through.
at all. It's
Yeah.
just becoming a stamina issue, I think. But yeah.
Yeah, interesting competition. Usually Europeans is a full cast of characters, if you will, before the Olympics. No one really sits out this competition as opposed to four
Mhm.
continents just because of scheduling conflicts. And usually, for the North American skaters, four continents falls somewhere in Asia. So being a week and a half before the Olympics, a lot of people will sit that one out next week, and we'll talk about that. But for the most part, at Europeans, we saw most of the top names. There were a few situations where skaters did not get their paperwork done in time. I spoke to Vladimir Litvintsev, and he told me that had happened to him. I know the Armenian team also had
Mhm.
that happen as well. And then the only major withdrawal, I think, was Kanti and Matsi, who I knew she was injured. She has something going on. She had been in a cast or something a few weeks ago, so I had subtly mentioned, yeah, they're going to withdraw. And then finally, I think like a day before everything was set, they finally were taken off the roster. So otherwise, though, we had a pretty full competition. We maybe or maybe not are seeing how things are going to potentially line up at the Olympics, but even then, when we get into all
Yeah.
the other disciplines away from dance, it was just a mess anyway, so I wouldn't really take this as anything too serious. But if this is what we're in store for in the Olympics, then yikes. But
Yeah,
I have
I
optimism
really
about
hope
it.
not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hopefully everyone's trying to avoid peaking too soon and they're not wanting to peak here at Europeans like 3 weeks before the Olympics.
Yeah,
And
but it's
I'm just
three
hoping that's
weeks.
the case
Yeah,
because yeah, the skating was so messy outside of
yeah.
dance. And surprisingly, again, dance was the best thing about this championship. So which I'm glad to see. But it wasn't necessarily because the skating was great in the other disciplines.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
So let's just start with dance.
Mhm.
Let's just
Our,
pull
our
in this
regular selves and
positive.
just
Yeah, like no, but our very positive stuff that we pulled in from US Nationals. Let's continue that with dance because I think
Mhm.
that's where we're going to be the happiest. So we have Fournier, Baudry, Cizeron really running away with this competition
Yeah.
with the gold medal. Guignard
Which
and
we knew
Fabry,
anyway.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Guignard and Fabry, surprisingly to probably a lot of people, they are silver medalists, and Fear and Gibson at home with the bronze medal. Okay, so Fournier, Baudry, and Cizeron. First of all, rhythm dance scores almost 87 points. However,
Right.
they did receive the exclamation point, the attention on their choreographic rhythm step. And we had to go through the rules, and you actually figured out, I think, what the trigger was for that.
Yeah, so in the rhythm dance, like so at first I thought it was like, they had to stop, but they're actually allowed to stop for the rhythm dance and the choreographic step. So it's actually the fact that they're only allowed to separate one time for up to 5 seconds. And they separate twice. Right at the beginning, he touches her waist and then they do that voguing, side by side down, and then they're doing some like choreography. And then when they stop and he's above, she's on her knees, and they're voguing, they're separated a second time. And it's probably been like that the entire season. It just getting called here. So even panels are just being really inconsistent of when they're enforcing these different rules, etc. And it's just really kind of obnoxious. And at least it happened here and not at the Olympics. And it gives
I
them time to fix it.
Yeah, I mean, they've had to, it seems like every competition this year, and they're not the only team, but I feel like a lot of
Yeah.
these teams are having to adjust their choreography even slightly. And it's so silly because this is a choreographic element that is so pointless anyways. And I hope we both hope it's done away with by next year.
Just on
Yeah.
the Fournier Baudry rhythm sequence though, so because they got that exclamation, it's automatic -2 GOE. And if you were watching that tracker, they were pretty much at 7.5 points, the maximum GOE for this
Yeah.
element.
Yeah.
And so, you add 3 points back, they're at almost 90 for this rhythm dance,
Right.
which I pretty much would have thought they would have scored anyway. So, just they fixed that by the Olympics. Like, I really hope medals aren't decided based on these stupid exclamations on the choreographic elements.
Because it is a lot of points. That is a
A
lot of
lot
points.
of
I,
points.
I mean, you
Mhm.
look at the silver and bronze medal. That's the difference there. You look at the difference between fifth and sixth place. That's the difference there. You look at the difference between seventh and eighth. I mean, almost all the way down. It's within 3 points. So that is a
Yeah,
big deal to get hit with. But anyways, you know what? I want them to be consistent, and the rules are the rules. So they need to fix that.
right.
Just point blank, they need to. Going to the
And
free
their
dance.
team should have saw it.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
but listen, like a lot of teams don't really understand the rules. You know, we've it's Ice Academy
Right.
Montreal, and you think they would, but there's so many nuances, and you know the rule book is very meticulous, and who knows what happened there. But then we go to the free dance, and I would say Laurence looked a little bit tight in the beginning of the
Yeah.
program. I mean, the as we did in that review video of Grand Prix Final, those Twizzles are so many positive features that it is just an automatic +5. She looked tight in the Twizzles to
Yeah.
start the
And they were
program.
out of sync in the first set. And so automatically negative feature. They shouldn't be getting these plus
Plus
fours you're
three,
seeing
plus
from
three.
three of the
Yeah.
judge. Yeah, it maxes out a +3 for me, and that's where it should have been. And I think that's really the only thing that really depressed their score here
Hmm.
is the performance on the Twizzles, because everything else to me, even if it maybe didn't feel that like emotional weight that like when we saw it at Grand Prix France,
Hmm.
it still was technically very good. And I actually like
Yeah.
a few of the changes they made. They've been messing with the combination lift only and trying to get the timing right, trying to make it
Yeah.
shorter so they're not running into the extended lift issues. And where they place it with the music here seems a lot better than where it
I
was in the
thought
Grand
so
Prix
too.
final. It's
Yeah.
just slightly shifting it, I think, a little forward. Really good. Honestly, like this, I don't see how this free dance could lose when it's performed this well. Like it just should not. It's just so complex. I know I've complimented this free dance a million times. There's just nothing. There's just no comparison to what else we're seeing out there from the top teams in terms of like the skating quality, program quality, all of the above.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
even Chris Howard, who knows clearly nothing about ice dance. Him and Tanya during the competition, love them, love Tanya.
Yeah.
She's from where I'm from. Um, grew up watching her, but they literally knew nothing about dance, and everything was just cliched. And he would say something, and she would just repeat what he said in other words, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so bad. But even he was like the skating skills, the command of
Right.
the ice that they have, he pointed that out. And you know, Mark at Grand Prix Final was kind of pushed into the corner by Ted, and he more or less said that he felt they are the best team in the world as well. The issue with them, and this is just from us following what's being said on the internet, there's two issues. Some people are going to never like this team, period,
Right.
because of what's going on. There's a lot going on behind the scenes. And like we've said, we don't really care about the drama off the ice. There's a lot going on with Gabby. She's released this book. She's said a lot of things that put Guillaume maybe in a negative light. But even if it is, like news outlets are pushing it even further and assuming every single thing is about him when she's kind of pushed back and said it's not really all about him. And then you also have the Laurence's connection to Nick Sorensen, who was suspended, appealed. Now he's not suspended anymore, and now they're appealing to get him suspended again or banned from the sport. So there's a lot going on there where people
Yeah.
are just not going to like them, period, because the
Yeah.
emotions come in. And I can't
And
argue that, but
exactly. It's totally valid not to like them as people based on what you've heard and read. Like, I'm not going to sit here and tell people not to. Again, we're just purely evaluating the skating, which
yeah,
is exceptional.
yeah,
And that's all I'll say. I mean, like
yeah,
I
yeah.
agree with a lot of what people are saying about them
Yeah.
otherwise.
The
Yeah.
thing also, the second part to this is that a lot of people do not like this style of skating. They do not like that Guillaume has been in a wheelhouse pretty much since 2015. He doesn't
Yeah.
really have any other style. I would argue that's not true because you see the rhythm dance. You remember the like
It's very different.
exercise thing. You know, like the rhythm dances have shown a different side, but there's
Yeah.
but the free dances are very similar. I happen to really like this. I think there's little
I
nuances in the
love
music.
it.
For example, on the lift, where every single rotation that he does matches this
Hmm.
rah, rah, and you know that just
And
everything is
right.
timed so well. So
And I know people will like put it down and say like skating to like softer music like this and whatever is easier. And I don't think that's true at all because there's more expected from you. It's not giving you a full path of what you need to
yeah,
do when the music is like this. You have to
yeah,
fill again. I've said this before. You have to end up filling that space that needs to be with something commanding. And
yeah.
what to me, they fill this space in such a commanding way. It's just
Hmm.
bar none exceptional. And
Yeah.
you look in here at the protocol. perfect fives for that combination lift from the panel.
Should be, should be.
And it should be. It should be. It's an absolutely brilliant element. It's probably one of the best combination lifts that's ever been, just due to the control, the subtlety. It's not trying to be in your face. It's just this inward skating that,
Yeah,
Guillaume Cizeron just excels at.
yeah.
Amazing.
But you also have to give Laurence credit
Her
because
too.
in
Yes, no, of
that
course.
she's moving her arm, she's moving the balance center, she's doing a lot in that lift. That's
Mhm.
another critique that I've seen is that their lifts are quite simple. I would say
I would
that's
know.
no. I would say that's actually
Deceptively simple.
uh I mean, I don't know, that final choreographic lift where he just lifts her. It's one thing because it looks like he's just carrying her, but then he flips her over towards facing him, and then he lets go, and she's holding on, and he's maintaining this flow. So
And the
it
illusion
is,
is great.
yeah,
Yeah, so like multiple things, I don't think that rotational lift is simple at all, especially though how complex the holds are into
yeah,
it. He has to
yeah,
like
yeah,
he's not seeing her. He's catching her from behind, and they have to time that so
yeah,
well. To
yeah,
me, the entrance, the holds into it, so complex. And then even yeah, like that final dance lift to where yeah, that first pickup with the music is really, seemingly simple,
yeah,
but it's so controlled. And then like you're saying,
yeah.
when he flips her, the illusion from the judge's point of view, her arm is around his neck from behind.
But
So
then
if you
you
just looking
see, yeah,
straightforward, it's
yeah,
just her
yeah,
hanging onto him with
yeah,
nothing. And that's
yeah,
that picture that the judges
yeah,
get to see.
yeah,
It's just so brilliant.
yeah.
It's almost like IAM saved all their brilliance for this one program, for this cycle, is what it
They've
feels
probably
like.
been working on it for a long time. I mean,
Yeah,
we
right.
heard that Mari France was choreographing, or at least working with them during Worlds because she wasn't at Worlds. So I'm sure that they've gotten a big head start on the program. No fault of theirs. I mean, it's if that's what the coaches want to do.
And you can see the
Yeah.
the product. It's so good.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, I mean,
wax on
we
and
could
on.
gush. Yeah, we can gush forever. I just think that the thing that I'm getting pushback when I say I really love it is that oh, I don't like this style of program. I don't, this is too overwrought. This is too like people trying to be artists. But the thing is, I get a feeling out of that. You know what? Maybe it's my music background. I
Yeah.
sense that they actually are into this and they really feel it. I don't feel it. It's like beautiful music trying to be put on by a skater that doesn't have it. I think they have it. And I do see a lot
Yep.
of skating where skaters are given these really beautiful pieces, the mission, stuff like that, East of Eden, and it's to make them look like they're beautiful skaters, but they still skate right through it. To me, this is just choreographed as good as it can be. I think almost every PCS was at least 9.5 here. I expect it to be, a plenty of tens. I expect it to be no less at the Olympics, and I think this is where, if we're
Yep.
comparing to Chalk and Bates, because these are the two that are in it for the gold medal, I think this is where it needs to be separated, especially skating skills. The other two, I mean, I would say the composition, the choreography is also stronger or whatever. I'm not going to argue with people if they have feeling that the other program is better, but I just feel like head to head, you look at these plus fives that they deserve, you look at the PCS, especially seeing, so I think that they do have the edge. We need to move on from them because we
I
talked
know,
way
we
too
could talk
much.
about them for like another 30 minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
But surprise silver, again, especially when we saw them earlier in the season, Guinard and Fabry. And the thing I noticed is that they're skating so much better. This feels more like who they were before the start of this season. Just it seems faster. I know it's still a little sloppy, especially in the twizzles. But it's faster. There's a lot more surety in their movements. They doesn't feel as sloppy. The transitions, they aren't like having these weird minor pause moments as they transition between elements. It's just a better package overall.
I don't know.
So that's what I
I
saw.
was the one during the first Grand Prix where I was like, oh, the rhythm dance is trash, but I actually, I like the free dance. The thing for
Yeah, the
me,
rhythm
and
dance
and
is still great, right?
and if you know me from before that we started doing these podcasts, I was a Guignard and Fabry
Yeah,
hardcore fan, and in 2023 and 2024, I wanted nothing more than for them to win the world title because I felt they were the best team
same.
by far.
Hmm.
Um, Now, 2025, they did not listen to critiques to their free dance, and now we see this kind of again with their rhythm dance. I mean, they changed the music. I would say it's incrementally better, but when you look at, and especially when you look at what teams are going to be in that final group for the Olympics, this is going to stick out in a very bad way in
I
the rhythm
agree.
dance. It's
It's
very ordinary. It's just not, it doesn't
right, right, right,
really
right.
do
The
anything.
nicest thing you can say is ordinary, and that's your critique, right? Mine is
Yeah.
just kind of like cringeworthy still. Like it's not as
Mm,
cringeworthy as the original, but it's just
yeah.
still not great. It doesn't feel
Yeah.
like it's them. It's just something given to them that they're trying to do their best at. They probably don't have a lot of say, I imagine, or at least maybe they don't see a
I don't
problem
know.
with it. But yeah, they should have dumped it, but it's too late. This is what we'll see at the
So,
Olympics. And it's
So
quite
one thing,
possible they don't make the final group.
yeah, I would say it's heading in that direction. One thing I will say for those of you that watch on TV, we saw that he had a problem with his boot. Something happened, like something came off or something snapped, and he was frantically trying to get it fixed. And then he came back on the ice with a minute left. What I was told by somebody who was actually in the arena, I think they were like in the press box or something, he went over to the judges, or he went over to like the officials to try to ask if he could have more time to warm up, and they told him no. This is what I'm
Yeah, of course
understanding.
no.
And then he got very upset and he stormed off the ice and he slammed the door and he was very unhappy. And then they go out and skate probably the best they've skated all season. He looked so rough in the rhythm dance and then in the free dance, I don't know what has happened to those Twizzles because they used to just bomb into them and get through them, and now he just looks so rigid and like
Hmm.
he's older and he's showing signs of his age, I suppose. But other than that, I respect that they have difficulty going in and out of every element. It's kind of you talk about Laurence and Guillaume's lifts being kind of perceptively easy. I think that with Guignard and Fabry, their issue is that they are doing a lot of difficulty, but they don't do it in the right moments to flow with the
Right.
music, and now it's
Hmm.
not being as effective as it should be. I, I'm kind of torn because I feel like they skated well, but then there's another team coming up where I feel like they probably should have been ahead of them, ahead of quite a few teams. So I think they should have
Ah,
been on the
yes.
podium in the end. Um,
But
but I,
yeah,
I'm just
right,
not.
right.
Yeah, I'm not feeling it. Like I said, I am still a huge cheerleader of this team, and I wanted them to be world champions, and I thought they were the best. I just think their time has passed, and I think the free dance is beautiful in its own way. I just don't think it's choreographed well enough to really truly stand out. And
I
that's
agree,
it.
because again, that's like it's a style that, we're seeing in other places. It's just not done as well. Like you're saying, it's not as memorable. It's not giving you these things that really stick out. I literally just watched it and I don't remember anything about it, but I will sit here and still play this really bad choreography from the rhythm dance I don't like, and I can see that in my head. Like,
Yeah.
and that's not the type of memorable you want to be, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fearing Gibson went into this competition with all the hopes in the world of upsetting Fournier Baudry Cizeron because this is home ice basically for him. Um, Rhythm dance was fine. It's full of energy. I would say they actually performed it quite well, and they were within
Mhm.
striking distance. They were a point and a half away, not considering the attention mark that Fournier Baudry Cizeron got, but they were within striking distance of winning this thing. And then this, I have to say, as someone who is also I've defended them a lot because I feel like they put in the work, especially this year. They've really upped the difficulty in their programs. I have defended them, but I cannot understand this result in the free dance. I think this is the worst they've probably ever skated. At least in recent memory, it was just
Yeah.
tight from the start. She was so off, and then everything became tight after those twizzles. I
Yeah.
don't think they should have been receiving the higher GOEs on almost any element
They
because
should
it was not
not.
clean. The edges were they were like, and we're looking at these individual elements when they do the steps and they do the 1 foot, everything was wobbly. I don't know how they got the levels that they got. Um, I
I
was
totally
very,
agree.
you look at the score, they got 124. If they were clean, they're pushing 127, 128, 129 maybe, and that's absurdity to me. That's really just I understand they're at home and I understand they're getting a push from that because everybody always does. That's just what happens. But this to me was not a medal winning performance. I will say that.
I agree. And you could see it in their faces, like the tightness. They weren't as into the performance. Usually
Hmm.
Lila has this light about her, and it was just so just dim. It was so
Hmm.
closed. And maybe there was some nerves because she
Of
totally
course.
biffs the Twizzles, and they run into each other. She steps down. Like it's like all these mistakes. And even here I'm looking at the protocol and I'm like, oh wow, the Danish judge gives them a +2.
Yeah,
The
I mean,
German
I
judge
don't
gives them a
understand it.
plus
Yeah.
one. There should be clearly in the negatives. To me, this is
Yeah.
a -2 max element, and some judges went -2 with it, but there were just
Yeah.
so many mistakes. It's so
Yeah.
hard to even find positive bullets to give
Yeah.
them just
Yep.
due to how messy that
Right.
element was. And then you're like you're saying, it just kind of spiraled out from there. I don't see how that midline step was +3
For her,
GOE.
yeah, a
No,
level
like
three.
not
I
at
don't.
all,
Yeah.
because they're
Yeah.
not even like and she gets level three, right? And they're
Yeah.
not even really covering a lot of ice. They don't have a lot of speed. It's so
Yeah.
slow and steady. But when it's slow and steady with shaky edges, I don't see where you get plus three.
Hmm.
Especially when we talk about this next team, they don't even get plus three across the board.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, how? How? It just the score doesn't make sense to me. And so you're seeing where there's this little GOE here. Maybe it's plus one too much on almost everything that kind of pushes them into the podium.
Hmm.
And I actually expected them to skate real solid here. I don't know why, even if it's home ice. I just kind of never, I expected them to perform this season. They've been so consistent. They've been a lot better about just not making these mistakes on these big elements. But we're seeing again that they are still susceptible, which kind of puts the Olympics in flux way more because they were kind of like a medal, like
Yeah. Yeah.
not
I thought they
threat,
were
but
bronze.
like to
They were
take
in
advantage of.
bronze. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that conversation. And this kind of makes it, ooh, who
I don't know.
knows?
I don't know. I mean, because if they skate clean, they're going to give them massive
Yeah.
scores, and I still
Hmm.
feel like they're in the driver's seat for that bronze medal. But now we're going to Lopetegui Brussels finish in fourth place, and I do not understand this. I would have had them
Same.
closer to second, if not just a flat out second place.
I
I
agree. I
think
put him second.
I don't, you know, I don't understand the difficulty they have in their programs, the amount of attention they pay to the music to specifically match the elements. I think this is one of the better rhythm dances. They always have really good rhythm dances. I think this is one of the
Hmm.
better ones out of the whole group this year. And then the free dance, they skated it about as well as they were going to skate it, and still I mean, they should have beaten Fear and Gibson, if not overall, but at least in that free dance. There is nothing
And
more
that
they
they
could have done.
don't is
No.
crazy to me. Like they don't.
Skating
It's so
skills are better.
clean. Yep.
The performance level was obviously better because Fear and Gibson, I don't care this is another thing. Like, okay, they get people on their feet because of their music choices. That's one thing, but when you don't skate it well, it doesn't matter. And I've said this, but like, if you want to give gold medals to people that just use the music to get people on their feet, then give the gold medal to Jimmy Ma and give the gold medal to Orihara and Piran, and just call it a day. I mean, there's no point. I mean, seriously, that's what it comes down
Oh,
to.
right.
So for me,
And
yeah,
yeah.
I think they should have been on the podium here, clearly on the podium. I know it was a big stretch to assume they would get there, but for me, I just don't understand it. However, we're looking at the starting orders for the Olympics, and Loperiva Brusel are actually in that final group. They will not drop out of it.
Oh,
So I
good.
think they could really shake things up because they have a really standout program in that final group, at least I think. And
I
I
agree
hope
in
it
both
does
phases.
bring attention to just how good they are because I feel like they're not being respected now. Maybe because it's Laurence and Guillaume are back. I don't know, but like they're not getting the respect that they should get, in my opinion.
Right. And you can see it here too. You know, if you're just ranking the choreographic elements in the free dance, they're ranked eighth.
Yeah.
And it's just because they had, for terms of GOE, some of the highest value elements out there. Like they're just 3 points automatically behind the Brits just
Mhm.
on those elements. And that would have pushed them um like into the
Closer.
top three in the free dance. Yeah, push them
Closer. Yeah.
closer, like, and it's just, I really hope they reform this in some way. I'm going to complain about this forever,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
they need to.
Reedon and Brulovicius, they were setting themselves up for a medal run as well, and then they
Mhm.
really came apart in the free dance. I first want to ask you about the free dance. She was skating backwards and she tripped and she kind of sat down, wasn't called a
I
fall.
saw.
Do you think that was a fall? Because I would say it was.
It depends. So, like, did a part of her body, other than the skate blade, support her on the
It,
ice? Like,
it
'cause I
was
thought he
really hard to
catches her.
see.
He catches her, right? So her body
Yeah,
doesn't actually reach the ice.
yeah,
It is a loss of balance. It is a whatever, like, but I don't think it's a
yeah.
fall. And it's
Gotcha.
also in between elements, that mistake,
Yeah,
lucky
so it
enough for
wouldn't have.
them,
Yeah,
so it
exactly.
doesn't
Yeah,
affect the GOE for
yeah.
these choreographic elements. But it also too was a fairly messy skate. And you
Completely.
got 117, and that to me is just crazy. I don't see
Yeah,
how they're scoring more than 111 or whatever. Like it just doesn't make sense to me.
yeah.
And you're looking at some of this GOE, and it's so much of it is oh, all these fours and the choreographic elements, where the only one I think is innovative and cool at all is that choreographic spin. It's the only thing I think I've talked about in this free dance that I've enjoyed.
Hmm.
But he was really unsteady in the 1 foot steps. You could see it even those first few turns.
Yeah.
I
Oh
think he
yeah.
finally
That's
biffs the
well, no,
twizzle in
no,
the
no. That's
end.
what ruined it. That first
Yeah.
set. he was off and that he had such a
Lost the
problem to try
balance.
to maintain the flow. Yeah, I'm surprised he actually got to the end of it because it was a mess from the start.
Hmm.
But even then, you look at it, I mean, that was a mess of an element, and they're getting zeros from four of the judges. Now, I understand.
Insane.
You look at the bullet points, blah blah blah, and you count it and you get to the zero or whatever. But then you look at these other teams lower down that get through it perfectly fine, and they're hoping to get a zero at best most of the time. To me,
Well,
I
even then
just do not
too.
understand.
But it's like some of these bullets require the element to actually be executed well.
Yeah,
At least
none
somewhat.
of
And once you
yeah,
have a mistake like this, or actually he has multiple
yeah.
really shaky
There's
moments and
nothing.
mistakes,
Yeah,
yeah. So it needs to be in the negatives clearly. I don't see to where you can find positive bullets to give them
yeah.
to even,
Agreed.
start that off. So yeah, the
Yeah,
zeros to me are way too high. I'm agreeing with this -1, maybe -2, even just considering how bad his errors were at the end of that.
yeah.
And then even then, like this midline step, I'm like, who's giving +3 for the midline step? I just don't understand that. Like, how is this equivalent to what Local Raven and Verso were doing? It's
Yeah.
really not.
No.
Like,
Separations, just the edges,
yeah.
the edges are not
Hmm.
there. This is just the team, and this is not to rag on them again. This is the judging because they're not the ones giving the scores. But I have truly not understood their kind of positioning in that upper group
Hmm.
since they won the bronze medal in Europeans. I mean, I feel like realistically, if I were on a panel, I would be struggling to find them inside the top 10 at all. I mean, I think they are like a second warm-up group kind of thing at Worlds and the Olympics going into the free dance and like as in 11th to 15th place.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree.
Davis and Smolkin finish in sixth place, and I have to say, I think they have two of my favorite programs of the entire
For
discipline this
real, right? I
season.
actually, yeah.
The rhythm dance
The
is so
rhythm dance is
cool.
so
It's
entertaining.
Yeah, it's
Hmm.
so cool. It's so different, and it actually gives the vibes of the 90s, I think, as opposed to some of these older skaters that are like, we don't know, this is
Yeah.
embarrassing, whatever. They really get into it. And then the free dance, I think, is beautifully choreographed.
I agree.
I really am. Oh, and then, I said in their first competition of the season, I'm like, this is a perfect program, except they do this stupid upside down thing. They got rid of it. They
Right, I know.
completely got
Just for
rid of it.
you. It
So
was just
yeah,
for
just for
you.
me. So
Yeah.
now
Hmm.
it's perfection. But no, I'm really impressed. I think they should have clearly been ahead of Rita and Brulevicius overall.
I agree.
It was close. It was only a point difference, but I really feel like this is another team that people are just going to never like, and this is just by extension of a family member, which to me is insane and immature, and people need to get over it. But they have really put in the work, and they are definitively a team that should be fighting for the top 10 much more than Reed and Brulevicius. I don't care how fun Reed and Brulevicius are. I don't care how fun their programs and how they're geared to the audience are. They've essentially been doing the same free dance, I think, for 3 years now. I am just blown away by Davis and Smolkin's improvements, and I am very, very happy for them that they
Yeah.
are
The one foot
working their way
turns
up.
were so good. The one foot turns in that free dance were so
Yep.
good. Just like everything here. I love the combination lift too. So great. They just have such like a great way of just like you feel this elegance all the way through.
Yeah.
Everything feels hard. It just really does feel like they're performing for you. It's
Mhm.
like I forget they're that type of team where like I do now. I'm starting to forget that I'm watching a
Mhm.
competitive ice
Yeah.
dance.
Mhm.
And they have these moments, and I love them to be
Yeah.
able to string it all together eventually. And then just going back to rhythm dance, it's so kind of like serendipitous that they were told to change the music because I like this so much. It's I think the only case to where like maybe someone was asked or told to change the music because it didn't fit to where the product ended up so good.
Let me actually go back for 1 second and talk
Oh
about this
yes,
because this is
yes.
you just reminded me. Thank you.
Hmm.
So Fournier, Baudry, and Cicerone. The story that we was put out there was that I think it was an American official had either reached out to them or reached out to the ISU and was like, "Hey, that one of the songs that they're using in the rhythm dance by Depeche Mode was actually released in like August or October of 1989. The album itself that it is on was released in 1990, but this person said." Because the song is 1989, it does not fit the rules and the program should be changed. So then the ISU, as far as I know, reached out to them and was like, you need to change the program. Lo and behold, we're watching the first or second group of this competition, and one of the lower ranked teams skated literally to the same two pieces that Laurence and Guillaume had. Now, How do you let this go through all season long and not say it's an issue, but then you tell another team that it is an issue to the point that you have to change your program? To me, there are just no rules. Half of these teams are using remixes from 2010 and 2020s. Like it's not the originals. I understand that the original was released in 90s, but then even then, some of these songs, if you're looking at the actual original, it was before the 90s. So there's to me, there's just no rules. It's going to become all
Right.
AI because there's issues with copyright all the time now. I
And let's
really do
not
not understand it.
right. And then even then, remember we have this famous case of the one, top team that is actually using AI for the rhythm
Yeah.
dance,
Yeah, and it
and the
was
AI
plagiarized
is just
anyways.
plagiarizing an 80s
Yeah.
song.
Yeah.
So it's like absolutely insane. Just, I just hear Regina George. Those rules aren't real.
Those
Yeah,
rules aren't real. Exactly.
they're not
And
real.
so the team that I'm talking about, if you want to go back and watch, is Ritter and Brikolov from Azerbaijan. They literally they're skating to Personal Jesus and Enjoy the Silence. Those are the two pieces that Laurence and Guillaume started the season with. So, and I would just want to say, like, they've skated
No
this
music
program.
violation, right? And no music violation.
They literally have skated this program several times this year. Like, whatever, whatever. There are no rules.
Right.
There are literally no
Right, right,
rules.
right. Hmm.
All right. So after them, I could go on so many tangents. Okay,
I
after
know,
them,
I know.
Smart and Deke. I will say about Smart and Deke. So their rhythm dances are going to put them at a deficit because they cannot
Yeah,
mask that they are weaker skaters like they can in the free dance. That is just simply the fact of it. I feel like all of their programs are comparatively a little bit open. I had the same critique when she was skating with Adrian Diaz as well, kind of masking that there's a lack of things going on. I just think that the free dance is one of these instances of really being captivating, so it makes you forget more or less. And I mean, even for me, someone that's, all about the rules, I was really captivated by their free dance last year. I This year it's kind of like been there, done that. I don't think the ending is as
yeah,
effective. But the rhythm dance is really where they're going to be behind. And you saw here they were 10th in the rhythm dance. They pulled up to 5th in the free dance. Even then, though, it's not like I think that they needed to go some other direction this year, probably. And
yeah,
they knew that this was going to have maybe some of the same special magic that it had last year, and it does because a lot of people are still really into this. Chris thinks it's the exact same program as last year because a lot of it is, um,
the
but
same beats anyway, all the way
yeah.
through. Yeah,
Yeah, so I still enjoy watching it. I just think comparatively they are a team like not to the extent of Rudin and Brulovicius, but I think that they are not quite as strong as most of these other top
yeah,
teams.
I agree. And then you look at here, the Spanish judge puts them second in PCS,
That's okay.
and then
But
you
you,
have up till eighth,
But I mean, you have two of the judges. Even I mean, two of them put them in third in the free dance. France even put them in fourth in the free dance. So it's
right?
still hitting in the way that they want it to hit for sure. I mean, it's a beautiful piece of music. I would say it's when you talk about, for example, Laurence and Guillaume, even though the music is very kind of steady one note. They actually match the music. I would say in the beginning, Smart and Deke do, but then it kind of gets like they can just throw anything anyways because it's just
Yeah,
monotonous, whatever. But it's still, I still really enjoy watching it. I just think that they're not quite at that level. Tequila versus Luis, this is the first time we've seen them this season, at least major competition wise. I There's a Ricky Martin battle. We counted in the rhythm dance there. I think there were 8 Ricky Martin programs, which is just makes me want to bang my head because this is not, for all we know, it's going to be like a Latin theme next season. And then we're going to see a million more between him and Enrique Iglesias. But it's just a lot. I felt like actually the program was nice in the rhythm dance, and then the free dance they're repeating their free dance from last year,
yeah.
which
Which is probably
was
for the best considering their
yeah.
injury issues, and it's
I think
actually a
they were
really
going
great
to
free
anyways.
dance. And
I
okay,
think that was always the plan, but this was my number one free dance of the year last year. I think that it is so perfectly choreographed. I think Massimo, this is probably maybe his best work that he's ever done. Just really everything is choreographed to perfection, and I'm not somebody that would be like, wow, a tango, I'm super into this, but they make me into it. They make me get into it. They too had problems. He had problems with the twizzles, big problem. But then you look at the PCS and they too are all over the place, but you have several of the judges giving them second in composition, and I actually would probably not argue that so much.
Right. Same.
Um, it was really good. I think that diagonal step, especially, is the most perfectly choreographed to the music step that we've probably ever seen, or it's right up there. I can't gush enough about it. Just the skate, they look tight. They haven't had a full season, and they did not look 100% with it. So they end up here finishing in eighth place.
Same comments here. We set up all of these teams, there's a lot of teams here with promise. Love DiMuggio and the Mercier. Like I love just the programs generally, just because they're kind of always like different. I'm never bored at least. And then you have like the Tashlers, who's honestly are still kind of some level sloppy, if not a little cleaner in terms of like the edge work and the skating, but I'm just still seeing that. It's just not as sharp. They're not matching lines as well. But I really did enjoy Rayton and Mazurov so much actually in this competition. You
Mhm.
just see them improving. They're skating so much faster, so much more just kind of like attack there, and they just seem so much more stable. I just trusted the skating more. And I still remember looking back at the Olympic qualifying competition to where the rhythm dance was so solid and the free dance was so sloppy. And you didn't have that this time. It was just some more level of solid throughout. And then
Mhm.
did I hear it right that they're going to the Olympics now because a
Yeah, they
team
are.
vacated a spot? Oh, yay.
It's
Awesome. I'm so
because of
happy
the
about that.
second Finnish team. She didn't get
Yeah.
citizenship. So,
Right.
so yeah,
And which was we thought would might happen anyway. We just didn't know the sure timeline of when they would release that spot. Okay, so perfect.
yeah.
Yay, they get to go. Awesome.
Yeah, so they'll be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been
So,
confirmed. I just want to make mention of Orhar and Pirinen. We are harsh on them, and I read people point me to
I
when you
know.
people on Reddit say things about us, and we never said Orhar and Pirinen should not be on the ice. We never said that they're terrible skaters. We said that their skating and what they're putting out there is just so far away from what we like, and it's going in the direction of just kind of silly and choreographic elements, which that is the system asks for that to an extent, but I just feel like they're not completely there. They brought the house down once again with their free dance. I cannot deny that. They're gonna always be one of the most fun teams.
Yeah.
So good for them. They're playing to their strengths. Just when we're critiquing as far as an overall competition and the rules, that is what we're talking about. We did not
Yeah.
say that they do not belong on the ice. So
And you see that here in the PCS, there's a lot more separation now between their presentation and skating skills
yeah,
scores.
which
They're
yeah,
not getting over 8 in skating skills, which they
yeah,
should not be.
yeah.
It's what 7.68. So there's a whole like almost zero point 0.53 points
Yeah.
difference between presentation and skating skills, and there should be a separation like that for them. I honestly
I
think it should be a little higher,
No, that's what I'm
for the
saying. I
the
think
the,
the
the
skating
bigger
skills should be lower.
separation lower. Yeah,
Skating
even should
skills
even
lower,
lower.
presentation higher.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you can argue composition. That's a little subjective,
That
but
should be lower
that's
too. That should be lower too.
I agree. Yes.
Yeah.
I agree with you
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But presentation, give them whatever you want. I mean, like they are one of the teams that brings down the house, and they do match the music to what they're doing. Maybe a lot of it's not so intricate, but they do present. I
Mhm.
would actually agree. There was the judge from the Netherlands went 7.25 for skating skills. I don't think that that's too rough. Also 7.50 for composition. Actually, looking at that, that's probably right where I would have them.
Yeah.
Presentation, 8.25, 8.5 is mostly where they're at. I could say you could push a little bit higher. So in the end, it would probably balance itself out, but that's just, and that is, look, if you look at their PCS, it is very consistent. Every single judge had them either in 11th or 12th place. So um,
Yeah.
that's just we're there. I do want to make one special mention
Okay.
of um Charisse Mate and Max Liebers from Germany. They actually got called to skate this competition pretty last minute because Jans van Rensburg and Stefan are withdrew. They're another team that withdrew, and they were probably a team that was trying to look to get into the top 10. This team, though, the free dance, they're using Experience by Einaudi, which this song has been all over the place. I
Yeah.
the first time I saw it, Laurine Le Cavalier skated it, I think in 2016, 2017 season. And as soon as I heard it, I'm like, up, sheet music, and I learned it on piano almost immediately. I loved it. And then it got so overdone. And then there's this song called Circles that has the vocals. They incorporated both
Hmm.
of these. I really, really liked this program. Really liked it. For them finishing, I don't know, 16th in the free dance, it was one of my standout performances. I thought they did a great job. So that would be
Right. And not
one program.
even necessarily perfectly trained to compete at this
Yeah.
competition.
Well,
So I think
yeah.
that's great too.
Yeah, really nice. It was a very
Mhm.
good program. All right, so that is it for dance. Any final thoughts?
No, it was just, the best phase of Europeans. It just kind of solidified a lot of things for me in terms of just like who the Olympic gold medal favorite really is. And to me, it is still Fornio, Bidri, and Cizeron. They skate clean. They don't get these exclamations. They should be the winners. I don't see how another team can catch up to them. So it really is on them. I think the way the judging's gone, that if there is a mistake, they're leaving that room to seed the gold medal. But that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I feel too. But
Mhm. But next it's everything else after here is a mess in some way. If you just want to go to pairs,
okay.
we kind of have what to some might be a surprise win, but I think for you, not
No,
at all. For
no,
you, not at all. You've
nope.
been kind of calling this for a very long time, and I think this solidifies exactly what you said. Medalkina and Berilava are that threat for the Olympic podium, if not now a favorite for a medal, considering we didn't
No.
even see Conti and Macchi here.
Well, what I've been saying all year is I think that if they skate their short program completely clean, I think that they could come away with first place in the short program. I
Yeah.
don't think, I mean, it would take a mistake as like a cue or an under rotation by the Japanese on the triple toe. I already know that. I'm aware that the Miura and Kihara will win the short program most likely if they're clean. If it's head to head, I don't see where the Georgians are going to go into first place, but I still think I just have this feeling like they could be the leaders going into the free skate. Again, the free skate was not super clean. They could have scored,
Right.
mid high 140s even because triple toe fall. The sequence of jumps was sloppy. Everything else was well done, and they have beautiful lines and they have this traditional kind of stuff that we don't see as much anymore.
Hmm.
Free skate is trying to be better. I still don't like the pause that they do. But it's so much better than what they did last year because last year's program I remember last year's program like you were saying you remember the Italians rhythm dance because it's just not good. Last year I remember the free skate of the Georgians because all they do he did this jump rope thing in the middle of the choreographic step, and that is literally the only thing I could tell you about that program that was any kind of choreography. Everything else was just skated. Oh, and then the hood. She puts a hood on at the end. That is the only thing I remember about the program last year. This year,
Exactly, exactly.
I think they're so much better. I like the short program a lot. The free skate, it doesn't really do it so much for me, but they are, they won this competition by 12 points. Now the Germans were a mess.
I think that's what you're saying this too. It's like we didn't see a clean head to head. Maybe the short program you saw a little bit because the Germans still had that little mistake on the Sakau, but free dance total mess. I was really surprised by it, but it felt so similar to what happened at last Worlds, in that like just losing steam, going at the end there, and then just losing it in that final lift, which really
Yeah.
cost them. It definitely
Yep.
cost them the world title.
Oh
And
yeah.
seeing it here, I thought they were past these stamina issues because they didn't really feel the same during the Grand Prix, but they're back here and they're really lucky to keep that silver medal. So
Yeah.
lucky.
Yeah, I 100% I agree. And I'm a big fan of them. I think
Me
they
too.
are
Oh God, yeah.
I think all around they are probably the best. I would say that
Hmm.
pretty comfortably. But yeah, this was very lucky. I and I'm Pavlova and Sviatchenko who won bronze for Hungary. This team I just have such a soft spot for. I think if we're giving an award for most improved of the season, it's them. Um they have really amped it up with their choreography. Their short program is so intricate. I think it's one of the best short programs in terms of overall
Hmm.
composition. They have personality now. I think it just took them a while to kind of get to know each other because they used to just be very Efimova and Mitrofanov, if you will, where they just don't really communicate at all. They just
Yeah, they don't
skate through the
emote
elements.
anything.
Yeah,
Right,
now they
exactly. Yeah,
actually
there's like a
are.
wall.
Yeah, now they are, and they look like they're having a lot of fun, and they deliver. And um, they too had several issues in the free skate, but I still think if you're looking, they got a base level on their dust spiral, first of all. That's one thing. The Salchow was under rotated. There's several things that they could have cleaned up that would have definitively given them the silver, but I think they're just happy to be on the podium. They seem like they were thrilled to
Yeah.
even be on the podium. I think big things are coming for them once this top kind of echelon clears out after this season. I think that they will be medal favorites for quite some time. I really, really enjoy them.
Yeah, me too. And then like I just kind of want to give like a shout out to Hawk and Kunkel too. I really like them. The lifts are just seeing the last lifts for them can be a little bit painful because oh, like it feels like a struggle.
Yeah.
The change of positions feel like a struggle when he's trying to do
Hmm.
the progressive steps to get that difficult feature. It just slows so down. You could feel how unsteady the lift is.
Yeah.
But coming back from injury where they weren't training for a long time earlier, and now just to see them kind of getting their form back, I really like to see because I just really enjoy them. I love this crazy Meatloaf program.
Oh
It's
my God, me too.
insane. It's just ridiculous. Who's gonna skate to Meatloaf like this, right? But then they pull it off, in my opinion. And I love the choreographic element
Oh
to
my
it.
God.
Love it
It's like a
so
throwback to
much.
like the headbanger move or whatever. Like, for a
Yeah,
long time, that was, if you watched pro skating in the 90s, there were a lot of teams, Sir Eisler, Hartshorn Sliding, they all did this like headbanger, and it references that a little bit. And it's not like anything we've really seen since the rules have come back to allow them to do things like that. So, yeah, that's definitely a highlight.
right. And then I'm not getting some of the GOE because a bunch of judges gave them only +2 for that. And I'm like, come on, like what? Like, how is that only a
Yeah.
+2 choreographic sequence? I give them 4, please. Give them at least a 4. That's where I would have gone with it. But other than that, I felt like the judging overall was pretty solid tier for this competition. I think the right teams were in the right places. Even if you have a disagreement of who should be in second and third, it was really
Hmm.
close. And Haas
Hmm.
and Willoden do have better quality in the things they did execute.
Yeah.
So I didn't think there was a problem with that at all.
Yeah. Vuillemo and Bouvard, I spoke about
So good.
them talking about Skate Canada. I was like, I thought in that competition, I'm like, don't be surprised if they're in there for the bronze medal. They completely, lost it in the free skate. But I knew last year seeing them at Worlds and Junior Worlds, they were fourth at Junior Worlds, and Worlds wasn't so great for them. But I'm like, their twist is probably the best in the world. It really is probably the best. And their individual side by side and their throws are really, really good as well. I think that they are another team that's going to wedge themselves in there at that upper echelon starting next year. I mean, 120 in the free skate, and that comes with a fall on one of the throws. So I think the judges are willing to give them the scores. You see that their
Yeah.
PCS is really kind of all over the place, but there are quite a few uh judges that gave them fourth in PCS. So I mean, and I would kind of say I don't necessarily agree with that because I don't think their free skate is as strong, but I think that they just need they're
Right.
a new team, and I think they just need a little more time, and they're going to be one of the
Yeah,
best
I,
teams.
I think they have a lot of charisma, and I think that's what draws you in, the way they skate and perform. It really is expressive and everything. And you can feel that between them too. It's just the program has no transitions or choreography. So
Yeah,
I agree with you. It should
yeah,
not be getting 4. Some of these judges gave them sixth, seventh rank in PCS. I'm
yeah,
more there with it.
yeah.
I think the Icelandic judge putting them in 11th is a little harsh, but yeah,
Yeah, going down the list, I just want to make special mention. Vipinlaw and Digby had a really good short program. Not so great in the free skate, but I think last year they were the most improved team. I was really blown away when I saw them at Skate America to start the year. So I'm happy they're more or less getting it back together. And then Gunnarsdóttir and Piazza from Iceland. I mean, he's by way of Italy, but they were so good in the short program. They were not even bad in the free skate, but they were so good in the short program. Really excited to see what they can do because they're also a relatively new team. Speaking of that, Valesi and Bidar, that's actually her ex-partner, Piazza's ex-partner is Valesi. They find themselves in ninth place, relatively new team as well. Great free skate. Lots of potential. Izzo and Meyerhofer, they really have a lot of work to do, but they do these crazy elements, side by side triple lutzes. Their other side by sides are triple flip, double axle. So they're amping up the technical side of things. Their PCS does need a lot of work though. But they're exciting in the sense that they're really pushing it uh, technically. And then I feel sad for Danilova and Siba from the
yeah.
Netherlands. They are going to the Olympics.
Yeah, we say, but they got the exception, right, from
They
the
got the
Olympic Committee.
exception,
Right.
but they're
Mhm.
just they're not having a great season, and she did not. She was very upset after their free skate. I don't know what's happening with them. 102 here is their season's best, so that kind of just says it all.
Right.
They are a
And
really, really good team. They just have not put it back together yet, so I'm hoping for the Olympics they have
mhm.
a good experience.
Let's just go to the men. Why not? Because it has like probably our favorite heartbreaker delivered again in
Oh
a
God.
not great way. And maybe I would really want to start with that.
Okay.
And only because like Kevin,
Well,
I think
okay.
everyone was talking about this was his Europeans to win.
No, I mean going into this, it was going to be either Grossel or Amos. that
Right.
was the talk because Grosso
Right.
really Grand Prix final that was a good. I would argue that he
Right.
potentially could have been on the podium there. He was that good. And I'm one that will say, he under rotation everywhere. This under rotation, but I feel like Grand Prix final he really put it together. So going in, you would say, yeah, Grosso or Kevin. But the thing about Kevin is he gets in his head about these European championships. You listen to what he said last year. I think last year in the short program at Europeans. He was considered a favorite last year as well. He went in, I think he was like 16, 17, 18, something like that in the short program. And then in the quick comments after the free skate, he said, "Well, in my head, I thought I could still get a small medal in the free skate." Where does he end up? I think he was like 22nd last year. So he just is very in his head about this competition. I think this year, especially, he probably knew there was a golden opportunity with Adam, his teammate, not being there. And then we see it just if I want to compare him to another skater, Anna Pogarelaya used to do this, where
Yeah.
she would put out clean programs, and then the next program, it would not only be like falling apart, but it would be such a massive fall apart and slamming her body on the ice and kind of laying there for a second. I have never seen Kevin fall on a triple axel like that in my life. He kind of he landed it, bounced, and then fell forward like basically belly flopped and laid there for a second. And I'm like, oh great, here we go. And then he gets up and starts the step sequence and he falls again. Like just
Right. And almost
completely let it
every
go.
element had negative GOE. You're
Yeah,
saying like whatever happened just immediately got in his head and he just
yeah,
couldn't perform
yeah,
anything. It was really tragic. And it just reminded
yeah.
me of that one Europeans too, where something very similar happened and then France loses all but one spot.
So I just want to point something out because this is the most fascinating statistic I have ever seen, and you will never see it again. In the short program, the German judge gave him number one in skating skills and 29 last in presentation.
But does that make
You will
sense?
never
I
see that
mean,
ever again. You will
you'll
never
never see
see
that
that
ever
ever again.
again. Right, right, right. The presentation score of 5.0.
I mean, I
I'm
don't.
not disagreeing
That's
with
not.
that,
Yeah,
honestly.
there was
Yeah,
nothing
yeah.
there, and he was panicking. And everything became unhinged. This is not a case of like trying to catch up and get it back together. Just everything was just not there.
Hmm.
But that statistic to me is just so wild. First, and there's not. This is not a Grand Prix with 12 skaters. This is 29 skaters. First place in one component, last place in the next component. That is how the system should work. Not
Yeah.
not all the time, but you can use the components like that. So there's an example of that. Um, yeah, but
And
there's
that's
just
not the only judge to have it. It's just the widest range. You're seeing a 1 in 12, you're seeing a 2 in 18,
yeah,
6 in 22.
yeah,
So some of these judges are truly using these components more like
yeah,
they should be, which I
yeah,
actually really appreciate.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Agreed. So we got him out of the way. He doesn't make the free
Yeah.
skate, so we
And
we
then
have
how
nothing to
many
talk about
spots
there.
though does France have now for
They have
next
one.
year for
Okay, so this is the
Europeans?
interesting thing. There's one spot
Right.
next year, and Kevin is staying in next year. And a big part why he's staying in is because he lives in Switzerland, and Europeans are in Switzerland next year. So I don't know.
Right. And
He
now
also
France
wants to
has
do
one
World Team
spot.
Trophy, but there's only one spot. So I hope he still stays in. I think he has a lot to offer. I want him to like end his career maybe with a good showing. It might not necessarily be at Europeans now, but that's just how it is.
Mhm.
All right. Okay,
And
going up
then
to yeah, let's just
the
start.
actual podium.
Yeah. So I will say, and I know this is another, I'm gonna get comments probably on Reddit from the lovely people there that Nika Godza, I actually really like that what he's trying so hard to actually give us something. It's just not natural to him, but I would say in show skating, he has that Deadpool program that I've referenced before that is so fun. He really, really sells it. It's just a completely different side to him. I think in competitive mode, I think working with Benoit it's brought out something in him that makes him
Mhm.
more enjoyable this year. I am so thrilled for him to win this gold medal because he's been stuck like almost on the podium. I think he even said in the comments like he was fourth place in the Grand Prix like five competitions in a row. So that spans like 3 years worth of Grand Prix competitions. So he was always just almost right there. Um, by far and away the winner here. It was like no contest. You know, it's not the most engaging skating, especially in the free skate. It's just kind of like, what
Yeah.
is this mashup
And
of
he loses
music?
stamina so badly in the second
Yeah,
half. You can
yeah,
feel that. But, again, relative to the field, this was great.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I like him. I understand his shortcomings,
Yeah.
but I don't think he's an abysmal skater. I think he's putting in the effort. I think eventually he will kind of break free from whatever's holding him back. I know he's very focused on doing the quads, and this is the same thing with Elia. We see that the quads kind of overtake the presentation sense of
Hmm.
things, but I think one day he will get there to where he's more well-rounded. But
Yeah.
no qualms with him winning this competition, obviously. I mean, this was a messy competition, so he runs away with it.
So
Ma
messy. And
Matteo
then
Rizzo,
just really
so yeah, tell me.
surprise silver. And
Yeah.
I I think this is one thing Tony and I disagree on. I really love Rizzo. I think he has great presentation. He won PCS here at this competition.
I
I will
liked
still
him.
watch that like Bruno Mars program a lot. Yeah, no, I love this. And I was really glad he has found you hate the Bruno Mars program. I know.
Yeah, yeah.
But like I just love that he's coming back into form here. And the only mistake was that just kind of opening up that triple sock out into a double.
Hmm.
I don't even think he rotated
Oh,
more than 2.25 to get the
no.
downgrade. So I don't know why it wasn't just called an overrated double sock out.
Oh, no, it
But I
was
didn't
like
rewatch it. So
I would say it probably was enough
over
twisted that
two and
they
a
would
quarter.
call it. Yeah,
Okay.
I would say so.
But that was
Um,
like the only knock on this program.
yep,
Otherwise, skated really well. Everything is just looking a lot more secure. He seemed to have changed his quad toe entry instead of just going straight down the line and the long axis. He's going on the curve.
yeah.
And he has this like little what was it even like just a Wally like right before and then he steps into the toe like so it's even like a creative difficult entrance you're not
Hmm.
really seeing it and everything just felt really solid. He's with the music. He's always been such a musical skater whether or not you like the program or not, and so I'm just really glad that he's getting this silver medal and that means he's on the team now for that second spot
Yeah,
theoretically.
yeah.
Yeah, so
No, 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 not theoretically. This was it. This was the
this was
competition.
it. Okay, because
Yeah.
he beats
No,
Momola by far.
it was said they're both getting sent. Whoever finishes ahead is the one going to the Olympics. And Matteo,
Perfect.
I mean, obviously that's his spot. Yeah, so he will go. This will be his third Olympics. Just to go back, it's not that I don't like him. I just felt like his free skates year after year after year were kind of like
I
these
know.
modern kind of hits, and it was the same exact program time after time. What he's done this year with the program, I actually enjoyed a lot more. It's a more softer
Mm.
kind of performance, and I really, really enjoyed him in the free skate here. So yeah, he's silver medal. I think this is maybe his third or maybe even his fourth medal at Europeans now. So good for him. Yeah, it's his fourth. Two bronze, two silver. Um, yeah,
I'm just
we'll
happy
see
he's
him
going
in
to
the
the
Olympics.
Olympics
Yeah.
because he had such an unlucky injury that kind of just took him
Mhm.
out. He was making a lot of progress. The quad
Yeah.
toe was getting consistent. He was landing the quad loop sometimes,
Hmm.
most
Yeah.
of the time it was downgraded. But, seeing him come back now here and he's getting that Olympic spot, I'm just really happy for that.
Yeah.
And if we just want to touch on the other Italian men for a second,
Yeah.
surprise of what happened to Grassel. We kind of knew Momola was injured. He wasn't
Yeah.
going to perform all that well. So it really
Yeah.
was, does Rizzo put it together? But Grassel imploding in the free skate and having a mistake on every single jumping pass,
Everyone
but
was under
maybe
rotated or
every,
Q. Everyone.
which is kind of more or less his general state. It just
Yeah.
seemed to be really called out here and emphasized. Did his first errors, maybe like,
No,
or maybe,
I don't. I watch, and he is one of the few because I argue this all the time. If a skater is under rotating or queuing, whatever, typically that is their technique that is built in and they're doing it all the time. Whether the judges call it that or not, it's one thing. But with Grassel, he is an exception because sometimes those jumps really are clean enough that they shouldn't be called. In this competition, obviously, every single jump, every single pass had some kind of issue. I'm actually
right.
surprised, like for the triple toe at the end, I'm surprised they downgraded it. There were a few other instances where I thought, okay, definitely a Q, and they want the full under rotation, which loses base value. They really went to town on his score,
Yeah. And
technically.
and
And
I actually think the Lutz was solidly under rotated and they only gave it Q, so the quad
yeah, I thought
Lutz.
for sure that too. And then I thought the loop maybe was a Q. So that but
Right.
either case, they were definitely short enough to be called. I don't like the Q anyway, so just get rid of the Q and just give
Yeah,
them
it's
all
stupid.
under rotations. But the more interesting thing for me is they really, really tanked him in presentation, which I cannot, again, like Kevin, you can't really present anything when you're scrambling and falling all over the ice. And
And yeah, you're seeing that here, 21, 20 in presentation. The highest presentation rank he has is 8.
eight. And besides that eight, it's 12th is the highest one. So Yeah, just
Right.
messy, messy. He was looking like he was potentially going to be in there for a bronze medal in the Olympics. I still think he can be because this is a very off performance for him.
It is.
Sometimes he has those, but this was really above and
Hmm.
beyond anything that he's really shown. 130 in the free skate. That might be his lowest score ever as far as senior competition goes. So I wouldn't say he's out of it. I just think that he really needs to be spot on, and those jumps need to look like they did in the Grand Prix final, where there's really not so much question about rotation, because if there is, I think they will go to town on him again.
Yep.
One thing, I don't know if you noticed this, but Adam Hagara finished 10th, but he was fourth in the free skate, which is crazy, crazy to me.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm seeing it now. Because I'm looking at skating scores,
Mm,
Yeah, no, that was really, really cool. And I know that he's somebody that like first caught my eye because of you at Worlds
yeah.
last year. And so I just really like that. I like kind of just the presence he has on the ice. I'm glad he put it together for the free skate. It's very
Yeah.
solid. And you can just
And
see to where he has like a future trajectory and he could medal
yeah.
at Europeans at least.
Yeah. And he was the only person that put himself into consideration for the ISU Athlete Commission. So he's now on
Oh
he's the
wow.
representative for singles and skating. Yeah.
That's awesome. Oh, good for
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
Even if it
Uh,
was just the only applicant.
Yeah, but that's okay because the same thing happened
That's
in ice
great.
dance. So, good
Yeah,
for him.
exactly.
Um,
Hmm.
let's go back to the medals now. Georgy Rishchenko from Czechia. He is another one that kind of has a history at the European Championships, like Kevin. I think he's been like 23rd, ninth, 20 something. Now the bronze medalist. I cannot argue with him winning a medal here.
Hmm.
I think he did what, three quads in the free skate, and all of them were clean. He did have some other issues on the lesser jumps. But the one thing I will say about him that, again, we're not letting the off ice stuff cloud our judgment, but I was a little bit bothered by the way that he went about complaining about the Olympic qualifier competition because he did not qualify. He skated well there as far as the quads because that's all that's in his
That's all he
program.
has.
You see his PCS, even as the bronze medalist, he's getting scores, 22nd in composition for one of the judges. You don't see that. I mean, you literally look, there's judges here 17th, 16th, 20th overall in PCS, and he's still the bronze medalist here.
Right.
What he said at the Olympic qualifier is that I wish I had the exact quote in front of me, but he said something to the extent of, I did everything better than the guy that finished in fifth place. There's no reason I shouldn't have had an Olympic spot. And if you look at how they skated in that competition, I'm sorry, no. I'm sorry. Just like, and it comes down to this PCS too. This is a sport where the PCS matters as much as the TES. And if you cannot deliver on both of them and other skaters are more well-rounded, then it is what it is. So that slightly bothered me. I mean, I'm happy for him to have this moment because he is not going to the Olympics. But that just kind of weighs in on my mind when I watch him
Hmm.
skate, that he doesn't understand that he needs to progress the other aspects of his skating
Right.
as
And
well.
then, I think it's kind of just to landing your jumps really does matter. It kind of puts you in position to take advantage of when others make mistakes. And that's exactly what happened here for Rishchenko to get this bronze medal. And one thing I'm going to complain about though is the PCS because in the short program he skates in the first group. So his
Mhm.
PCS is very skate order PCS. We're having ranks in the 20s. It's mid sixes solidly. And then all of a sudden when he's in the second to last group for the free skate, his PCS goes up. It starts
Yeah.
going into the sevens. These
Yeah.
same judges who were like ranking him like 20, 12, whatever,
Yeah.
are now ranking him like third in PCS.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah, no.
drastic, drastic thing difference to me.
But I have to say, no, the presentation and the composition scores are pretty much the same. And it's crazy, that he skated as well as he did and they still gave him those scores. So I actually have to shout out the judges here. As far as PCS goes, I think that they did actually a really good job. Yes, the skating skills score did jump up a lot, but if we're looking at how they ranked all the skaters in PCS, it really was. I mean, you look at Lindfors, who I'm going to rave about. Let's just rave about him right now. I think he has the coolest short program I've seen in a long, long time. It is so reminiscent of kind of the voidy 80s, if you will, or even Dmitry Dimitrenko in the 90s. He used to do this kind of weird like movements. It was choreographed by his sister.
Mhm.
I wish I would see like so much more of her choreography because both programs, but especially the short program, wow, I think that is my number one find of this competition. But you look at, so I just want to say, you look at his PCS, he finished last in the free skate, and you have judges in composition giving him third, fourth, fifth, sixth. This is
Yes.
unheard of. No other panel in the history of skating has been this daring to actually reward skaters based on what's actually being put out there. It is crazy. Like I wish every single panel would be like this. It's amazing.
Right. Like, I think some of the judges were doing great at making these differentiations, and I think some were just not. I still think some were doing skate order. I'm just gonna call
Yeah, of
out the
course. Yeah.
Swiss judge, just because to me it was kind of ridiculous the change from the short program to the free
Yeah.
skate, when to me the skating quality didn't really change. The program
Yeah.
quality didn't really change. The skating skills were still some level of just like average. I
Yeah.
still felt like, oh, he's losing steam. These steps
Hmm.
are like painful, like, you know. So I'm just gonna keep calling that out too. Like I like the judges who are still doing what, like what you're saying, someone who's placing last in the free skate, getting PCS ranks in like the top three, top six, whatever.
Hmm.
Some judges are still doing skate order.
Some phoned it
Anyway,
in. I mean, it's a long day and
right. Hmm.
they're just like whatever corridor I have to be this, but that's not what they
Right.
did here. So it's nice. Okay, going back, fourth was Lucas Britschke. He won last year. He put in a fight to try to get to the podium. He was about a point and a half away from it. Didn't actually do a quad. The one he tried was he fell and it was under rotated. Also had problems on a triple X later in the program. And I think he doubled a jump or two along the way as well. But I really respect his skating. Like I've said in the past, he's very supportive of every other skater, and he's someone that's very active on social media, making sure he's commenting and supporting everybody. I would have loved if he would have snuck up there on the podium, but he falls just a little bit short here. Selevkos, so they
Oh,
sat in second and third in the short program. I, if I have a preference of who I think is the better skater, I actually like the younger one, Mihail. I think he's the more artistically
yeah.
just he's innate sense of style and music.
I think
But
he has better body movement too. Like he's just
yeah,
better
but
natural dance ability. Mhm.
I will say I love his short program. He is skating at the same thing as last year. I got you into his short program at Worlds. I'm like, if you're gonna
Mhm.
watch anyone, watch his. It is cool. But I think this year actually Alexander came with the stronger two programs as a whole. They're so different between the two of them. I really think his free skate is a good vehicle for him, as classical as it is, and you wouldn't think it would fit him. It does, and then his short program is just kind of a flashy. It stands
Yeah.
out. So I think he probably does have the better programs of the two because I don't really like Mihail's free skate is just there for me. But so Mihail kind of implodes in the free skate,
Yeah.
and it looked like Alexander's just walking through the door to get this Olympic spot because this is the second case of where whoever finishes higher was the one that was going to go to the Olympics. Alexander really made it close. He fell apart as well. And then the difference between the two scores in the end was like 2 points. So Alexander will go to the Olympics. I think that that's what it was looking like it was going to be all year. So it would have been surprising if it had
Yeah.
been another way. I wish that they would have stayed on the podium together. That would have been kind of cool. But yeah, it
But
just wasn't meant to be.
they did get those small medals though from the short
Yeah.
program.
Yep.
They posted about it and they consider this them sharing a podium together too. And it's
Yeah.
always been a dream of
Yeah.
them. And I think it's actually really cool. You know, I saw that picture of them posing each with like
Yeah.
their silver and bronze from the
Hmm.
short program. And I'm glad they got to have that moment, even if again the free skate fell apart for both. But even falling apart just because the competition was so messy, they were still pretty close to the podium. You know,
Yeah.
Alexander
Yeah.
was 6 points away from the podium.
Yep.
Mikhail's eight. And that's
That
just
just
like,
says, yeah, that just
mhm.
shows how the competition was. Yeah.
Really, yeah. And we're gonna say the same thing for the women in a second
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. So just quick shout out mentionings of Tamir Cooperman from Israel, who is in seventh place. So he gets that second spot for Israel. There's three Israeli men kind of sitting there waiting to go to competition. So I think they will be thankful that he was able to get into the top 10. Kirilo Marsak, he is the Ukrainian skater that earned a spot for the Olympics. He's in the top 10. Denis Vasilyevs, he had an issue in the well, first of all, big news is that he's back with Lambiel. So whatever that drama was, whatever happened there, he's back with Lambiel. So there's that. Um, had issues in the short program. He was judged, I would say harshly, but if you look at everything, it kind of makes sense. He did not get a level four on anything. His spins were level threes, and then his final flying sit spin got no value at all. His step
Right.
sequence got a level one. They really went to town on that, and I love that short program. I love it. It's just like a good vibe. Like I love it. And then the free skate was a new free skate for him, and I feel like it was skate. You could tell it was a new free skate. It ended with
Right.
saber dance, this like bombastic music, and he was kind of crawling through it. So I don't understand that choice. But I still, no matter what he puts out there, I always enjoy him. So those, along with Adam Hagar, who ended up finishing 10th, those are the top 10. Looking down the list, I just want to make a special mention to Yari Kessler, finishes 14th place. He's a skater that does not have the TES side of things, but again, we're looking at what this panel did with the components and using them how they felt appropriate, and he pulls himself up to 14th place. This will be his last European Championships. He's 29 years old and he's still chasing the technical minimums for Worlds. So I reached out to him yesterday and I congratulated him on his skate. I've always been a big fan, and he told me there's like I think 4 competitions he's entered into between now and Prague to try to get those minimums, and I really hope he
Oh,
does
good.
because he's so
Hmm.
enjoyable. Just the again, I cannot rave more about what the judges did. Oh, like it's insane. I have not looked this closely, but I just opened the PCS for him on skating scores for the free skate, and literally composition, France has him third, Slovakia and Lithuania second, Great Britain third. Like this is unheard of. This is
Right.
literally unheard of how they're using these PCS. Really, this competition needs to be studied for a long time because
Right.
they
And
actually
unheard of
did
in a
what they should.
really good
Yeah,
way.
yeah, yeah. I
Exactly.
cannot
So
rave.
even if the skating was messy, the judging was
Yeah,
really improved, a lot better, actually using PCS like they're supposed to.
yeah.
Hmm.
And then Maurizio Zandron, he Austrian. I think he's 33 years old now. This will be his last season as
Oh,
well. He had a really, really good skate in the free skate for him. And he will go to Worlds. I asked him, and he said yes, he's going to Worlds. And then just further on down the line, I don't really just Matthias Limfors. Again, like he is my find of the competition. So creative. Lots of low, like hydroblading kind of just interesting movements that you don't see, and it just reminds me of
right.
the 80s so much. So he is one I will watch that short program on loop forever and be super happy. So he's my find, and he's one that I think everybody should go watch because I really, really enjoyed him.
Now to the women who were just a different level of mess, except the winner.
Basically, yeah. I mean, we don't even
Aside
need
from
to
the
review
winner.
the. Let's not even review the short program because what is there to say? Everybody was just so messy in the short. That
Right.
might. We're talking about how like we saw some of the best use of PCS, blah blah blah, in the men's. I think like if you're looking at like an ISU championship from start to finish, I think the short program here for the women might be one of the worst skated short programs ever. Like really just all the way down the line. Aside from
Right.
Petrokina, like really it just was not good.
Just right.
There's
Everyone's having
skaters
some type
finishing
of like
all
major error.
there's skaters getting into the final group with 59 points in the short program. That just like that says everything about what happened in the short. So there's no sense on just going into dwelling on how everyone was so bad. Let's just go to the free skate because
Yeah.
that's where it was. So Nina Petrikina from Estonia, she repeats her win very surprisingly because she's had quite the season so far dealing with injury. Runs away with this competition, 25 points ahead of second place. She repeats the same free skate as last year and more or less the same kind of skate as last year. She was really, really on, and everything just looked like it was so solid. She
Right.
just was in the zone, and it hasn't always happened for her outside of these last 2 Europeans. I hope it can be repeated somewhere else. I've always liked her. I remember there was a Skate Canada one year where it was kind of a rough competition and no one was skating that well. And I was like, you know what? She should win the short. And I think the judges put her like sixth or something. I'm like, oh, what the hell is this? But I really I enjoy her a lot, and I'm happy for her to get this repeat win in an
Right.
otherwise kind of meh
And her
program.
score's solid. It's not like she's purely just winning by default. I mean, she does. She could have skated worse and still won, but her free skate score is 145.5
Yeah,
points,
yeah,
Like that's a
yeah,
really solid, great score. That puts her easily like in the running if she even makes it really high in the short program to like spoil for a medal if she's able to repeat these scores. I don't think she will. Yeah,
no,
exactly. I don't think she will. I think her PCS will be a little lower
yes,
once you get every other Japanese and
yeah,
American skaters in there. But it's really solid. It's
yeah,
a definitely deserved win. Was not a win by default.
yeah,
But yeah, the rest of the field more or less implodes in at least one phase, if not both.
yeah.
Because you have Lona Hendricks who wins silver here, coming back from injury. She's fifth in the short program, third in the free skate, which results in a second place
Hmm.
overall, if that
Yeah,
tells you anything.
yeah. I actually, you know what? I'm not a fan of her short. It was changed from what it was earlier this year, as far as I know, and it's just to me, it's whatever. But then the free skate, the problem with her is that she has this kind of she's stuck in this thing now where there's not so much choreography, and then you get to the choreographic step at the end, and the music picks up, and it's this is where she's selling the program. I think this year though, her program is much better as a whole. I know that a lot of people don't really care for the music choice. I do like it. I think that this is one of those, it gets you into the performance, and I think that this is probably my favorite program of hers in quite some time, if not ever. I'm happy to see that she's back. You know, same thing for her though. I would say she didn't do a triple triple here. If she does the triple triple, I would say it's never quite rotated. She usually gets
Right.
away with it. She was called on the Lutzes here, which is, you know, it's a step. But yeah, I think she's pleasant. I think that she's captivating. She has a presence.
Right.
But I don't know that the judges are really giving her the scores anymore to be in
They're really not. I
consideration.
don't think she's getting the benefit of the doubt she used to.
Yeah.
She used to not even get called on these Lutzes, and now you're seeing exclamation, you're seeing E on the second Lutz.
Mm.
The GOE feels a lot lower for everything, and I think that's really appropriate. She never really had great run out in her jumps at all, even if she had that height,
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
Lutz. And even then, her PCS is now just low eights, maybe reaching mid eights, and uh, to me, that's accurate. I'm still putting composition down there, and in my opinion, this program to me still feels like empty. It's still not my favorite thing to watch. I really prefer kind of everyone else around her,
Yeah.
way more.
Oh, really? Okay. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. But because we're going to talk about Gubanova, and you're going to tell me I'm crazy, but that's fine.
I will. But first, before her, because she was not on the podium,
Oh,
Larnaka
right, correct.
Gutman from Italy. She gets fourth in both segments and she pulls up to the bronze medal
Third.
overall. And I
Hmm.
cannot be any more happy for her. That
Me
Jaws,
too.
that
I
Jaws free
am.
skate, you know, I was not so fast to warm up to it, but now I'm all in. I think it's so cool. And I think earlier in the year I might have misspoken and said that Laurie Nickel choreographed it, but it was actually Stefan Lambiel who choreographed it.
Oh,
So,
really? Oh, good
yeah,
for him. I love this
yeah,
program.
that's his
Right.
program. So good, so
And
good.
it's a bit
And
of a mess of a program,
oh my
lots of
God, yeah.
errors, but it was just solid enough to keep the bronze, and
She,
it's
sh
solid enough barely, a little
That's
over
the
a point.
thing. She had a lot of mistakes. Four of her seven jumping elements were in the negatives. She was stepping out of everything in the beginning, which is very, that Lutz in the beginning always looks like it's a step out because she goes into a triple salchow, but this was like an actual step out to start the program. She really could have been fighting, I think, for top free skate. I think they would have gone for it if she had skated clean.
Yeah,
Because she
I agree.
really should get it in the PCS. It's just so cool. She's always a little bit out there, at least in one segment. She had the Psycho program a few years ago. She's always, and then she had the Squid Game program. She's always doing something a little bit out there. Very happy to see her win a medal. I saw the video of her running to Stefan to give him a hug, and she was very emotional about this medal. So
Hmm.
congratulations to her. Looking at Nina Pinzeroni, this is her comeback as well. I think she skated in one
Yeah,
competition earlier, but she's been out the majority of the season. I will say she's keeping her free skate, which was probably my favorite free skate last year. I think it's just so beautiful. She is so elegant. The story of her is that her jumps are tiny. Even
jumps.
the double axle is so tiny, and it just
Yeah.
lends itself to be under the microscope for under rotations. And that's just going to be how it is for her skating. And you look in the free skate, and the panel was actually pretty nice. They gave her cues on quite a few things and
And
some under
I thought that
rotation.
was generous,
Yeah.
honestly, because some of these too, like I didn't see that flip as clean either. That loop should have been clear under rotation. Same thing for that, the second Lutz. So even then, like she was close to third, but it should have been a little farther.
So I'm actually, oh no, it was different. I was gonna say, I was thinking that the German judge was the same between the men and the women. I was gonna make props for them putting her so high in PCS because I do feel like that's accurate. And if it was the same one that gave Kevin the first and the 29th, I was gonna be like, oh, I'm in love. But it was two different judges. So,
Okay,
anyways,
okay.
very good job, Germany,
Right.
for doing what you see. And you're right in line with what I feel. Um, okay, so after that, well,
Gubanova.
I'll just let you talk
Oh,
because this is
I
your
know. Okay,
program.
so like, we're gonna fundamentally disagree on the free program. All the flaws I do agree with you on though in general, but she totally has a poor short program. It's not the Gubanova we've seen pretty much all year. Under rotating the combination completely, downgrade on the Lutz, and it's a
Oh,
fall. She's
okay.
56. like in the short program, but then gets second in the free skate. And not necessarily because it's a great free skate. It's just relatively better than everyone but
Yeah.
Petrokina.
Yeah.
But I still felt it. I still felt that like level of commitment to the program. I think I do just have a soft spot for Ghost, the musical, which I
It's
hate saying because
nice.
it's such a bad. Well, if you've ever listened to the whole soundtrack, it's kind of terrible.
I have not.
You
I
know,
have
I
no
love this.
intention to.
You should not.
Um,
No, no one should waste
it
their time doing this.
it's a very it's a nice, sensitive, sweet whatever program.
Right.
Um, I felt in the short, it's weird with her because sometimes I feel like she just does not want to be there, and I got that vibe from the start of the short program. And
Yeah.
then in the free skate, she kind of maybe she just really does relate to this program, but it puts her more in the mood. And it was not a good skate for her. She is usually good for a pretty clean free skate. She scored 128 here. Like we said, it's good enough for second in the free skate. So just that's the level of skating that there was yesterday.
Hmm.
But yeah, she finishes fifth overall now. Team Georgia in general moves on. They have two gold medals from this event, and they move on to the Olympics. And they are putting all their energy. I have read they are putting energy into that team event where they are potentially in there for a bronze medal. So
Yeah,
every
no,
single one of those
totally. Yep.
skaters, yeah, every single one of them has to skate both programs because those are the only skaters from Georgia. So they'll be doing double duty with their individual competitions. Sorry to the dancers and the men that have it really booked in that first week, but I think that they do really have a shot here. It's between them and Italy, and depending what Italy does with their men, I would say Grossel was in there as a lock. Now I'm not so sure because of what just happened, but we'll see. I think it will be close there for the bronze medal. But anyways, sixth place, Serena Yus. Really surprising actually. I mean, she's someone that had more points than Anna Pizzetta actually in this ranking competition as far as Italy goes going into this competition. Um, Finished second at nationals. She's always been like there, just not getting the biggest events. So
Mhm.
um, she's been sixth at Europeans before, actually 2 years ago. So this is more of the same from her. Really pleasant. I wouldn't say anything super, super stands out. But I enjoyed her. Kimi Rapond, seventh place. She's another one we really haven't seen all season. Really let kind of came apart in the free skate, sadly.
Yeah. I mean, she's been dealing with injuries too.
Yeah,
That's kind of the story for a lot of these skaters we haven't seen this season. Just really bad luck of dealing with injuries in the Olympic year that gets you out of competition.
yeah,
And you could see that here, that fatigue really setting in for her. And she's a skater I really love to watch, but
yeah,
when she doesn't have that stamina, when she doesn't have that competition ready, just kind of like, you
yeah,
know, practice, etc., she's going to
yeah,
underrotate these jumps because her
yeah,
jumps are so small. And that's what you saw here a lot. And it just kind of really did her in.
yeah.
And yeah, it's harder for her to stay in the performance too when she's just not ready. And I
Yeah.
don't know. I feel sad
It,
about it, but I could still watch her skate like all day.
she did not look ready, and I would say her free skate's
Hmm.
relatively empty, but I think that
Yeah.
is having to do with her not really having competition experience this season. So
Hmm.
Pizzetta actually was in bronze medal position after the short. That technique, I don't know that it's ever going to be honed in. It's kind of like I feel like I get to mention Letitia Hubert in every single video that we do, but it's very reminiscent of someone like Hubert who bombed into the jumps, and she was either finishing first in Grand Prix or she was finishing last, and there's no in between. And I feel like Pizzetta, she's young still. She has time to hone it in and really clean up that technique, but it's just the jumps have so much amplitude. There's so much power. I just think that it's kind of like a toss of the dice to see if she's going to land it or not when she does come down. So she falls to 13th at the free skate, 8th overall. All three Italian women in the top 10. They
Which is like
maintain their three
amazing.
spots. Yeah, good
Yeah.
for them.
Yeah. Well,
Ida Karhunen, she's the girl that does in the start of her short program the blinking
the
to Britney Spears.
blinkography.
Yeah, so cool. Adam Solya, by the way, shout out to you. I like that. You could tell she's super quirky and she
Hmm.
understands kind of giving the performances a little something else. So she's one to watch. She was able to climb from 16th to 7th in the free skate. She's in the top 10. So Finland has two spots for next year. She is one to watch, I think for sure.
Yeah.
She's cool.
And she
One
skated
person.
second group. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, she did second group, and some of these judges still put her like top five in PCS
Yeah.
categories, like in composition, presentation, which I think is great. Just some shout out like the Estonian judge, Lithuanian judge for doing that. Some of these other judges just kind of skate ordered her and gave her like fives in composition and presentation, and I'm like, I don't see that.
Hmm.
So I really enjoyed this. So thank you, those judges. Yeah.
Yeah. Julia Sauter in 11th place. I talked about her at Worlds. This is not me coming out of nowhere to suddenly like her. I talked about her at Worlds, how I watched her very closely in the practices before the short program. She was in at the boards basically in tears. She was not landing anything. She skates a good short program. She gets that Olympic spot. I was peeping in on her conversation at Chic Sport at the booth. I think later that day or the next day, and she was talking to Jenna McCorkle, who I've known a long time, and she was just like, "Oh, I'm so relieved I got through that program. Now I can relax and blah blah blah." And you really saw it. She is a beautiful skater. I really love her. Her free skate is probably the highlight of the entire event. Jumps are so big, no question about them. Her reaction in the kiss and cry is one that is going to go into memory forever. She was so excited. One thing I do want to point out though, the French judge gave her a 0.75 in presentation. This should be flagged when this happens. It should be flagged. I'm sorry.
I
Not that
agree.
they should get in trouble, but there should be a big red box that shows up when they put that score in to say, "Are
Are
you
you
sure?"
sure you want to
Exactly.
do less than 1 point at a championship level event?
I mean, it is insane that that is the
Right.
case. But she finishes 11th place. I would say I would have had her much higher. She was so good. I know she had a big deficit to come back from in the
Yeah, it
short
really was that
program.
big zero in the short program and messing up the
Yeah,
combination.
yeah. But I love her. I'm really
Mhm.
excited to see her in the Olympics, and I hope that she's another one that's been around a long time, and she was actually German. She's German to start. They got rid of her. They didn't really support her. She would have run away with everything in Germany for this entire Olympic cycle, but she went to Romania and she's had success there. She's 28 years old, so I have a feeling this is probably her last year, so best of luck to her in the Olympics. Like down the line, Olivia Kaiser, I just want to make special mention of her. She finished
Yeah.
17th. She's not skating well enough by Swiss standards to get that second Olympic spot that they have. Um, there have been situations in the
Sad.
past where they have given. I remember in 2002, I was a teenager that wrote to the Swiss Olympic Committee on behalf of Sarah
Of course
Meyer,
you
and I'm
did.
like, of course, because I love Sarah Meyer. And I said I really would appreciate if she would go to the Olympics because she did not place high enough at Europeans that year, and that was the criteria she needed. They emailed me back and said they were doing a special test session for her, and she had to land like four, I don't know, something. She did it. She found out she was coming to the Olympics like a few days before it started, and then she finished in the top 10 in the short program at that Olympics. So I know, and then I know they've also held like they didn't let Lucinda Rugo in '98. I think that she had qualified a spot if I'm not incorrect. And there's some other skaters that they've not allowed to go. So it's really, I don't know what the standards are now, if they're going to actually use that second spot for Switzerland or not. We'll see. But she has not had a good season. It looked like in the short she might have been okay, but then the free skate was just kind of
Yeah,
more
I
of
mean,
what
like
we've
her
seen
scores
from
here
her.
were 57 in the short, 97 in the free, and those are her season's bests. So, like,
Yeah.
that's just kind of indicative of where the season's at. And I really like her too.
Other than that, no, I don't really have
Yeah.
anything else for the women. It was just one of those competitions. I forgot one of the other highlights of the free skate was Josephine Taljegard from Sweden. She
Oh, yeah.
skated in that first group. For her, it was a pretty clean free skate. Now, the jumps were not rotated, but you just look aside and
Yeah.
she's skating to it's all coming back to me now. It was really, really, it was just nice. It was a nice program.
No, I love it. Yeah, yeah. It's so cheesy. It feels such like a fan servicey program, and in such a
Yeah, it is.
great
Yeah.
way. Really
Yeah.
loved it.
Yeah. Yeah, so she was I can't believe I almost forgot her. She was one of those standout like first group like okay, we're in for something good and then it really never Souter kind of saved it for a while. But yeah, there's not I would say, like we said, Petrokina was the only one here that looks like she's going to even be pushing any of the Americans or the Japanese or maybe the Korean ladies, but even then I would say like you said, I don't think she's going to get those PCS scores in the Olympics, so I really think we're going to see again probably a top six that's the US women and the Japanese women and
And maybe a spoiler if one of them makes a mistake. Right.
no, and we have to remember Petrosian because she's going to be the
Oh,
big
that's right.
yeah,
A
the
big,
big
actually a
question
big
mark.
spoiler. The spoiler,
Yeah.
probably most
Yeah.
likely. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But even in general, like this was not a great competition.
No.
I'm really kind of glad we picked going to US Nationals over this, and it
Oh
just kind
yeah.
of worked out better that way. I don't
No.
know how my stamina will handle like doing both even and then showing up at Sheffield. There's like no way. I'd be like dead.
If I would have sat there on Sunday afternoon and said, "Oh, I'm going to book a flight straight to Sheffield and then watch another week of skating," I probably would have gone crazy. Not only because it would have been way too much skating, because I would have watched every last practice.
Right.
I would have just probably been like, "Oh, I came here for this," and I'm sorry to say that, but it just was kind of one of those.
Yeah, and that
You're
happens.
seeing the nerves. You're seeing probably it's like you have to save your energy for the Olympics, and you don't want to give too much energy here because it's so close to them. But yeah, just this
Mm.
competition really um just
But we
wasn't.
did meet some people at nationals who were actually also going to Europeans, and some of them are
Yeah,
volunteers. So shout out to them. I hope you have built in a lot of rest for your return back.
yeah, yeah. I can't. I love figure skating, but 2 weeks straight of all of that would be, I would be losing my mind, and I would be so. I mean, I have an
All
aura
right,
ring,
more
and
than
it
we
told
already
me,
are, right? Like,
my aura ring told me after nationals, like, oh, you're like 24 hours in sleep debt or something. And I'm like, well, obviously, you know. So yeah, that's all we have for this. Four continents, like I said, it starts in a few days already, and then we're really going straight into the Olympics. Um, at some point, maybe I don't want to make any promises, but I do want to make a short video that just goes over these supposed rule changes that the ISU is putting out, and basically it's just going to be a video of us saying how stupid they are. Second free skate, they tried this with the Grand Prix final, and people would just show up with these half-ass programs that like
or an
literally just
old
had to
one
be
from last
50.
year,
Well, yeah, Tatiana Molina pulled back Aladdin, and you could tell she hadn't practiced it in years when she showed up to Grand.
I think
Just
the
we'll get
only
into it.
time anyone ever actually created a new free skate for this was Michelle Kwan,
No, there were a few. I mean, I
right? Oh,
remember
okay.
like Petrova Tikhonov, like some of them would show up
Oh,
with
okay.
second, but yeah, usually it was a program they had already done, or it was more or less the same choreography to different music. Just stupid. But anyways, we'll save that for another video. As always, comments, questions, things we got wrong. There was a comment on our last video saying, "Ha, you were wrong. You said blah blah blah." Um, for once you're wrong and you can't admit it, we tell people to tell us when we're wrong. Like, please point out when we're wrong. That we're not like
Right.
that. We don't think we know everything. We want people to say we got things wrong. But yeah, that's all we have now. Oh, and I just want to throw in there's this little thing going around certain circles of the internet that I Kevin Amos skates well only when I'm in the ring for the competition because the last three competitions I've been to present have been the ones that he's really skated well. So if anyone wants to support me and pay for tickets to the Olympics, men's short and free skate, I wouldn't say no. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Any donations, let me know. But I have nothing else.
Hmm.
We will see you again next week for Four Continents, and then I have the entire Olympics off of work, even though I'm not going, at least for now. This I'm not going. So I think we'll probably put up videos every day for the Olympics.
Yeah, we'll try. Hmm.
Yeah.
I've taken a lot of time off too. So,
Yeah. So yeah, thank you again for watching. Please share, please discuss. Don't twist our words, please. We try to be nice to everybody. And yeah, that's it. So thank you once again for watching the skating session. My name is Tony Wheeler,
and I'm Thomas Vu.
and see you in a week for Four
Yeah.
Continents.
All right. Bye, everyone.